Hey there guys, it's Salis, and today I gotta ask the question, has early access gone too far? We've all seen them, early access games on Steam or through their own website, stuff like State of Decay, So You Are Being Hunted, Cube World, all games that were available for play and purchase no less in varying states of alpha build. But are these games launching in unfinished states a good thing for gaming? First, let's look at why these games are released this way. Is it because they're indie games and the early money helps finish the game? Personally, I don't think so. Because I don't think any developer is stupid enough to start a project they know they can't afford to finish. Is it because they fell behind deadline and the publisher forced a release? Okay, here I might concede to saying possibly. But considering most of these games are indie titles, and need I remind you, indie means independent, no publisher, it's quite unlikely. Or is it because Minecraft did it? Yes, once again it all comes back to Minecraft. But what you have to remember about Minecraft is, it is the exception that proves the rule. The rule, of course, being that you should never release a buggy piece of shit and call it a game, without expecting people to want to burn your house down. And also, Minecraft had an exit strategy. First of all, the game was cheaper to purchase in the pre-release phases, whereas these early access titles are just the same price regardless. Secondly, when Notch decided to release Minecraft this way, he was very much aware the early builds had no content in them. So he opened the game up to modders and designers who created new mods, texture packs and custom maps, so that the game actually had some content to it. And this builds a strong community, and of course now we have Minecon to show for that. Somehow I doubt any of these early access titles will ever release their source code to modders, or try to actually build a community around the game, because they didn't think about that when they decided to blatantly copy what Minecraft did rather than how Minecraft did it. Let's look for a moment at how these early games are handled. It's usually in one of two ways. Through some kind of sales platform such as Steam or Editorial, and the second way, of course, is through their own dedicated website. Of course, we can all see which is the more dangerous, and in case you are a moron, that is the second one. But that doesn't excuse what they're doing. Games that launch in alpha through Editorial are at least labelled as alpha so that people know the game is unfinished. But on Steam, it's called early access. And this is very dangerous because it's very careful marketing speak being used here to incentivize people into spending money on a bare-bones game by making it seem like they're getting a special privilege. The only upside to these releases is that if the devs decide to bail out of the game, companies like Valve can force them to either refund the poor sods who are left with a game which may be unplayable, or to actually get back to work. But games that sell their early builds through a website don't have this. So let's talk about two games that have done this. 7 Days to Die and Cube World. Both of these games released their alpha build this year, and so far have had varying levels of success. 7 Days to Die, for example, has had relative success, and with the Alpha 2.0 release coming up, it would seem that the devs are actually still continuing with the project. However, Cube World was last updated in July, and it is currently October at the time of writing this editorial, and those who bought Cube World have heard nothing since the last update. And almost everyone has agreed the devs have abandoned the project because, you know, they have our money now, why bother doing their job? I don't think I need to point out that the devs haven't even put up a single update on the website for upcoming patches, and they haven't even sent out a tweet with any hints as to what's to come, or if anything is to come at all. And why? Because people are saying on their forums, well, I got my money's worth. That's not justification for being done with it. For every one person on the forum saying they're satisfied, there are at least 10 people across the internet slamming your game for being unfinished, unreliable, unbalanced, and boring due to its lack of content. Perhaps if you stopped focusing on your own forums and congratulating yourself, and more on the bigger picture, you would feel more ashamed of what you've done. And speaking of doing their job, what does this mean for the industry? Well, for a start, it means indie devs are getting a bad name thanks to these people who release broken builds, then take our money and run. Indies took years building up good relationships with gamers and releasing some very fun, very interesting titles. But now, it seems this doesn't matter because someone else pulled the bait and switch on us. That means they're all evil, right? Secondly, it means probably in a couple of years, there will be zero quality control on games. Because more and more devs will see this pot of gold and rush toward their fame and fortune. And the reason I say this is games need testing before they can be released. It's used to iron out the kinks and make sure things work. But by selling the alpha, which need I remind you is a test build, these companies have found a way to get thousands of people to test the game for them. That's right, you're paying them for the privilege of doing their job. And even if you personally don't go to the forums and report bugs, even if no one does, there will be enough people who record it and put the videos on YouTube that all they will have to do is search for their title of their game for not only a bug report, but proof of it occurring. And we all know why this particular type of person will upload these videos. Because they have alpha access. This doesn't make you special. If you pay for it, it makes you just as dumb as everyone else they convinced to pay for an unfinished product. So, time for my honest opinion here. This is a worse business practice than pre-ordering games. Because at least when the industry pushes for pre-orders, even if they are almost a year in advance, Call of Duty, consumers know they are either going to get a finished, or at least finished as far as the developers and publishers are concerned, product, or a refund. But with these alpha buy-ins, no one is assured the project will ever be finished. And I don't understand why people accept this from games. You wouldn't pay for a new off-the-line car, go to pick it up, and it might be running, it might not, but it's just a chassis with a seat. You would not then sit in the seat, drive your chassis home, with a promise that it might be finished at some point. And you definitely wouldn't go to see a movie that cuts to black in 10 minutes and expects you to come back when they filmed some more. Also, if you keep buying into these things, the situation is only going to get worse. I'm willing to bet the War Z would have got away with being twice fried bullshit if they had just claimed it was early access instead of saying, we're done. And when you all start complaining about buggy releases, lack of updates, you'll only have yourselves to blame. And if the games industry... Okay, I'm going to level with you here. Games industry, if you just intend on bending me over a barrel, at least buy me a drink first. Now I want to hear your opinion. What do you think? Has the early access culture gone too far? Is it acceptable for indies to release their games this way? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you have any other gaming issues you think deserve my 2 cents, go ahead and let me know those too. So, thank you for watching. Remember to like, favourite, comment and subscribe, and until I see you again, I've been Salis. I ask the questions you don't want to.